Education. I'm Megs, your host. And if I sound a little bleh, it's because I'm not feeling well. So bear with me. We have a quick download, some piping hot tea, if you will. The episode that was supposed to be launched and I had talked about launching today is undergoing some rehab, I guess. I don't know. Some plastic surgery. She did not come out very good. So we're trying to fix her. And I worked with somebody I've never worked with before and was given this timeline to them, and they're late. So this is one of the fun things about running a business and rolling with the punches. So since I'm not feeling well and this was not the planned episode, I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet. Hopefully the other episode will come. I'm hoping to give you guys another bonus if I feel up to it this week, or just launch the episode that was supposed to launch. So that might come out as a surprise. Today I want to talk about something that I've been asked a few times actually as of late, and that is about what to do when you want to raise your prices. So I'm actually planning on raising my prices soon, and it is the first time in a very long time that I've raised my threading prices. I don't always raise prices across the board. So my original threading price was $15 for brows. It went up to $20, and then most recently, which wasn't very recent, it was up to $25, which is my current rate. My plan is to bump it up to $28, and that's the only price change I'm making. So that's kind of where I'm at, just to give you a little background. But what I want to talk about is you and how you should raise your prices. So one, I guess I made this motion if you're watching on the video, be confident in your decision. So if you're making this decision from the energy of just wanting to make more money, that will probably translate poorly, and it might be difficult to sell. Not that you have to sell your prices, but you do actually have to sell your prices. So think about that. If you raise your prices from a place of like need, and like you feel that it's the right move and a necessary move, and it feels right, it'll be a very easy transition. So make sure that you're going into it with the right mindset. I think a lot of different things in our industry are mindset related, and it's something to think about. And I know that anytime I'm like, I'm doing all of the things, I'm checking everything off my list, and I'm making the money, I'm seeing the numbers, everything's working, and I'm still not feeling it, 9 times out of 10, it's my mindset. So mindset is a lot of things. It's very important. And I feel like the most successful people that I follow, that I look up to or inspire me, all talk about mindset a lot as well. So I think it's something to encapsulate in your business in entirety, and very important when making big changes like prices. So confidence is key. Go into it with confidence, and I think you can build up that confidence off of coming from a good place with it. Second, B, whatever we're using for this list, make sure that you remember that it's you're in charge. You're the CEO. Okay? So you are the one that does make these decisions, which sucks because it's hard to make these decisions and we don't always want to do these things, but they're your decisions to be made. So no fear when we're doing it, because this is a business. This is a real life decision. This is something that has to happen. And it's okay. Businesses raise their prices all the time. I know we have a little extra layer of empathy when dealing with our clients and our relationships with them, but it's a business at the end of the day. You have bills to pay, you have to make a living, and you get to set the price. So think about all of the things, and I'll get into that in just a second, but just make the post, make the announcement, pick a date, and do it. It doesn't even have to have a date. Make the announcement, make it effective immediately, but choose to take the first step. You gotta just do it, okay? The more you mull it over, the more you think about it, the more you dwell on it, it's gonna take longer, you're gonna think about it more, and it's just gonna be a mess, okay? So just do it. You gotta make those steps, gotta make those changes. I've made many a price change in my time, and it's always uncomfortable. Currently, right now, I've put it off only because I've been lazy about making the announcement, and I don't want to just change the prices. Like, I have to tell my clients and give them I like to give them a little bit of time. I'm not saying that's a requirement. That is a personal preference. And also, the other thing you have to remember is that sometimes prices are changed for an intense need, like price increases. So, for example, I changed my lamination, lash lift, and tinting prices most recently beyond my threading. So why did I do that but not the threading? The costs for those services had gone up. So I have to charge more because the price has gone up. So I need to maintain that my income is remaining the same. So the prices go up. That's how that works. Threading, on the other hand, has not really, it's been an area that's kind of been safe from inflation in a sense. So it's such low overhead that I haven't felt an intense need to make that change. However, I have been in the industry a very long time. I have a ton of experience. I train in threading. So, as far as me being proficient in the treatment itself, that's there. But one of the main reasons I'm making the change is because my schedule's been super difficult. It's been very difficult getting people in, and I am still gaining new clients at a rapid rate because I don't say no to new clients. I should get into that at some point. I've definitely talked about it on other podcasts and maybe touched it on it previously, but I don't believe in closing your books. I believe in when your books are when your books are too full, it's time to raise your prices. So that's just kind of how I feel.
Hey, it's Emily here from Brow Fox Beauty. I'm so proud to be sponsoring this episode of Brow Education. If you are new here, let me tell you a little bit about Brow Fox Beauty. We are a professional brow line for the esthetician. We specialize in easy retail for the busy esthetician. We also have a line of better back bar basics so you can be super confident putting pre and post wax solution and massage oil onto your client's skin, giving them the best glow and the best brows yet. You can find more information at browfoxbeauty.com or on social media at browfoxbeauty.
Just kind of how I feel about it. And I think that as you do that, you make room for the people that want to stay, see your value, and are able to work that into their budget. And then you allow other clients to drop off. They can go elsewhere. Hopefully, a really wonderful referral if they need it. I always love to have a list of referrals on hand. Sadly, there's not as many threaders on hand, but I digress. So it just kind of makes way for your schedule to remain the same and stay at capacity, but not overflowing. So my reasoning for doing so is I haven't done it in a very long time. My experience has obviously grown, and my schedule is very difficult to get into. So therefore, I'm raising my prices for the threading, and I haven't raised them in a very long time. So I think it all balances out. I'm feeling good about it. The mindset is there, the reasoning is there, it's sound, and I'm feeling confident. So that's how we move forward. Now, what should you think about when you're dealing with your pricing? That's a great question. You need to be thinking about the core. So, the very, very core of it, you need to be making some money. So, you need to kind of tally up all of your supplies that go into it. And I think, very general rule of thumb, think about just what's on that SMA. What do you actually physically need to do that service? There's a chunk that's coming out, right? So, your disposables, your solutions, your wax, or whatever it may be, spool or loop of thread. Those are all something that you are accounting for when you're dealing with prices. Now, I remember being very confused by this at first because I'm a threader at heart, and it was like, why do I care about pennies? Like, that's not that big of a deal, but it is, and it adds up. So, even if it sounds really small, this is something that you have to think about. Now, you probably have overall overhead, which would be your rent, like for your space, your studio space, insurance, any like subscription things, um, accounting, any sort of help or consulting, different things like that that you're paying monthly, quarterly, annually, right? So those have to also be worked into like your overall business cost. So those come out of your services. You can not to say that you have to work that into the treatment itself, but at least in like your work day, that's a cost. So like you have to make X minimum to make sure that that's getting paid, right? So depending on how you want to break it all down, you're going to find your cost, and then you're going to deduct that from what you're charging, right? And then you're going to find what you're actually making. And this is important because I think that we like to just see these numbers on the screen, but we have to remember that we're not making all of that money, even though it sounds very luxurious and like a fat paycheck. Get your bag, but remember how much is actually in it. Now, one of the biggest things, and I do want to do a whole other episode on this, is I talk in experience in science that I've done research on, and like client relationships. I do not talk finances because I am not a financial professional. I seek out help and outward help, and I hire it because I'm not a numbers girly. So this is just my first world experience. If you need more deep numbers help, I highly, highly, highly suggest hiring help. Finding a local accountant, something like that in your area, hiring a coach if you want like really specific things related to your business. I know there's a lot of like financial beauty coaches, which is great because they kind of have a foot in the industry and they can kind of get a more real world experience. But my biggest advice is not anything that I'm about to say. It is seeking out that help. So if you're really, really struggling, seek that help. Now, for other things that aren't necessarily money-based but should be thought about when you're making your prices, I do think that you should know and be aware of your demographic and kind of like the people in your area, but I do not think you should look at everybody in your area and then like find a middle ground and pick your price. I don't think you should do that, but it is nice to be aware of what your surrounding area costs are, like median household income and things like that, just to have it in the background of your mind. Not saying that it should like immediately direct to your cost, like your pricing, but just to have in the back of your mind. Now, things that have nothing to do with money that I think are very, very important is going to be experience, trainings that you've taken, your time, and why am I experience, training, time? I think that's it. So experience is going to be how long have you been doing the job. If you are brand new, your prices may be lower. If you've been in the industry a while and you've never raised your price, it's time to do that. If you're investing in your business, studio, treatments, whatever, if you're investing in education every year, that needs to be in the equation. You're growing. You're doing better. You're trying to grow. I always feel like it's a good thing if I have a client that's followed me my entire career, that their brows have changed and transformed over the career because I've changed over the years. So their brows, in theory, and in my personal experience, should get better as you grow. So prices can change. That should correlate. And I think that the client would feel comfortable with that because they're growing with you. Experience, training, education. I cannot keep these straight right now, my lord. So all of these things come into play, and I think that they're the number one things that we forget about. So remember to work these into your equations, figure out your numbers, or hire somebody who can, and just go lead with confidence. You deserve this. This is your business, and you only want the clients that are going to fully support you in your decisions. You don't want anyone who doesn't support you. That's not a client you want in your chair. And the people that do support you are going to back you. They're going to follow you with no qualms at all. So I believe in you. You deserve the raise. That's another thing that I forgot to mention that I always mention to everybody. There's not a single person on this planet, maybe there are, I shouldn't say that's such an ultimatum, but there's very few people that would accept a job and never, ever, 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 ever get a raise. They just start the job and then they never get a raise ever. That's crazy town. We deserve raises too. The unfortunate part is we're the ones that have to get the raise. So just the same, if we don't have any clients, we don't have any income. If we do have some income, we got to still find and claim that raise. So this is how you do so. You're raising your prices to earn your raise, and you do deserve it. So you're awesome. Don't forget it. And lead with confidence. You got this. Your clients don't necessarily need an explanation, so don't feel that you need to give them one. When Walmart or Target uptick their costs or Instacart charges you more to deliver it, we don't say anything. We just pay it or choose not to pay it. And that's the client or customer's right. But you can raise your prices without going into deep explanation or having to go overboard or anything like that. As long as you're leading with confidence, you have that mindset and that foundation of knowing why you're making your changes, just do it, baby. You deserve it. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to follow me, you can do so on Instagram at the.eyebrow.goddess or at Browducation. We are also on YouTube at Browducation. You can also find all of my resources, educational manuals, and everything about me, the podcast, information, and more at my website, www.theeyebrowgoddess.com. And I will see you next week. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your